book, When Personal Training Gets Personal, and How to Best Manage Clients' Relationships. Please welcome and join me in welcoming Ron Betta.
I have only had sex with 2 women, my wife and my cousin. That is a quote from one of my clients. It's not my own experience. When I became a personal trainer in 2002, I was naive. I was excited. I thought people would do what I told them. I thought they would eat the foods that I suggested. I thought they'd drink enough water. I thought they'd exercise. They didn't do any of that. Most of them resist quite a bit of those instructions along the way, and you have to work them. What surprised me was that I would be spending anywhere from about a half an hour to an hour with each client, and they started to tell me things. They would start to tell me things I didn't necessarily want to know. They would tell me things about their personal life, maybe about how they were feeling, and about the way things were going. Now, sometimes it was a medical issue. I'm waiting for a doctor to call me and tell me whether or not I have cancer. I'm waiting to find out if my wife is pregnant, whatever it could be. But for that hour, I'm immersed in a conversation where I'm trying to get them to exercise. I'm trying to show them certain things, and most of the time it's not a problem. But occasionally, they want to share something with me. And what makes this difficult is that I care for the person. So there's a certain amount of understanding, but there's also a certain amount of this that I take on myself, at least at the beginning. So when a person comes to me and they're depressed and they're sad and they don't feel good, it starts to wear down on the trainer. One of my clients told me how she cheated on her husband, every guy she could. She would just tell him, it's girls' night out. And he thought she meant she was going out with her girlfriends. Now when I went home, my girlfriend said, hey, it's girls' night out, I'm going out with my friends. And I said, no, you're not. I'm handcuffing you to me, and we are sitting on the couch, and we're going to watch movies. And she couldn't understand it, and I couldn't really understand it until it dawned on me that something was wrong. Fortunately, I met Dr. Patricia Brown. She's a licensed professional here in Orlando. She's fantastic. And she and I started talking about what the clients were telling me and what was happening. And it became clear to me that there are certain boundaries that I have to maintain. So I wrote When Personal Training Gets Personal. This book is designed to help people that have a client, kind of trainer, or maybe professional relationship work with a person so that they can understand how to best handle those boundaries. Now there are 4 main boundary types. There's attachment, there's romantic, which everybody wants to hear about, there's social, and there's medical. I'm going to go through each one briefly and explain to you how I handle them and why they're important. With a medical boundary, I had a guy named Alan. Alan is the guy I talked about at the very beginning. He would tell me things about his personal life that were completely inappropriate. And in a gym setting, when you have a lot of people around, and he's loud, he doesn't understand what's going on, I have to call his wife. She explains to me that he has a form of memory loss. He's starting to lose it. He's getting a little bit of dementia, but he's starting to head downhill. The exercise is there to keep him propped up. It's to keep him strong. So he drives to the gym. He walks in. He knows how to get there, but he doesn't remember his trainer week to week. So when he walks in, they know who he is. They page me on a loudspeaker. I go downstairs, and he said the same thing every time he saw me. He said, I don't like your hair. Now, I can't take that personally, because I know it's just a form of dementia. I mean, who wouldn't like this hair? It's also a situation where I have to manage that boundary. I can't get upset with him for that. But then I have to take him around and show him the equipment and show him the exercises. Every single time I had to show him the same thing. Now some of that, of course, is confidential. I don't share his real name, and I don't share information about my clients when I talk about them medically. But you have to take that into consideration, that you can't get upset with people when they're criticizing your hair, or anything else for that matter, because they have a medical condition. The second boundary is a social boundary. Now this one's interesting. It's not just necessarily social networking or social media. It's actually kind of a cultural social issue. I trained a homosexual in downtown Orlando, and he happened to train right before another guy. And he said to me one day, he said, Ron, I'd like for you to come to my wedding. I'm marrying my partner. I want you to be there. I said, no problem. Love to go. My personal beliefs have no impact at this point. Man has invited me to his wedding. Whether or not I agree with it, I appreciate that he did that. He's a client, but I understand that he's trying to reach out. The guy that came in after him said, if you continue to train him, I will leave the gym, I will cancel my membership, and I will ask for a full refund because I don't agree with gay marriage. Now that's a social issue. It's a social boundary. He crossed that boundary. He was trying to control me with his beliefs. So I had to sit him down and explain to him that what I do in my personal life does not impact my professional life. It shouldn't. And I'm still providing the same level of quality training that I did, whether or not I go to this guy's wedding. It's not going to impact you at all. The third boundary is the romantic boundary. Now this one is tricky. Fitness is a body-centric field. So when someone comes into the studio or into a gym, they're looking for someone, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, they're looking for a change in their physical appearance, and they're looking for feedback. They want to know. So when I measure a woman, and I start taking her circumference measurements, and I'm measuring her neck, and her waist, and her hips, and her thighs, she's sharing information that she probably hasn't told her husband. I'm asking how much she weighs. She doesn't want anybody to know that. She probably doesn't, and she doesn't know me, so she's probably not that thrilled about telling someone she just met a few minutes ago how much she weighs, how big she is. All of those things are coming into play. Where it becomes a challenge is that her husband probably hasn't paid a lot of attention to her. That's what I get. I get those clients that come in and say, hey, I want to feel good about myself. You know, my relationship has waned. We've been together for a while. I don't feel good about myself anymore. Can you help me? And then I start showing them attention. Now, as a trainer, you have to be careful about what you say, what you do, how you talk to them, where you come into their life. Because if she feels that there's an attraction, she might misinterpret my caring. Because when she comes in the next time and she's lost some weight and she puts on a new outfit and she's got on some new fitness clothes and she's thinking, hey, I look pretty good, I feel pretty good. My husband didn't comment, but Ron did. My husband didn't notice that I did my hair and got my nails done, but Ron noticed. Why do I notice? It's my job. I have to make sure that the client is changing. I have to see that they're experiencing something here at the studio that's making them want to be a little different and that they're taking action. So for me, she's successful. But if she interprets my appreciation of those changes as romantic, well, that's a problem. The last boundary is what got me into writing the book. It's an attachment boundary. I had a client who lost 90 pounds. She was significantly older than I am. She was married. I had a girlfriend at the time. And at some point, this woman started to text me early on. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 texts a day. It was 40 to 60. It was 5-page emails. She called me and she said, I've taken a picture of you off the internet, printed it, put it above my desk so you can watch me all the time. I don't want to watch her all the time. I have 40 clients at the time and I'm busy with them. I don't have time to watch one person all the time. She lost 90 pounds training with me. She was thrilled. I was very happy. I had to tell her repeatedly, don't text me, don't call me. Don't email me. I don't want to know. You're sharing information with me that's too deep. I'm not interested. I appreciate it, but it's not for me. She didn't care. She texted all the time. Towards the end, she reached up to grab a weight, and she said, I'm going to have your initials tattooed on me, on my side. And at this point, I said, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Because something just happened to me, and I can't believe that this is coming out of your mouth. She said, I want to have a tattoo put on my side of you, of your initials, but my husband thinks it's weird. I said, I think it's weird. I think just about anybody would think it's weird. My chihuahua would think that's weird. That's a really strange thing to tell somebody. What she had was an attachment boundary. She wanted a way to stay in touch with me. Not because she was romantically involved with me, but because she was dependent on me to keep the weight off. She thought that if she left, she would gain the weight. She wanted to stay in touch with me all the time. That type of boundary you don't want to break. Now the trick is that when you're dealing with boundaries as a trainer, or in any profession really, you have to remain porous enough in the relationship that the person feels some level of attachment, that they can trust you, that they can connect with you, that they have faith that you're going to show up, that you're going to be professional, you're going to stay confidential, you're not going to do things that are inappropriate. They have to feel that way. But then you also have to have enough of a boundary that they don't invade your space. So as a personal trainer, one of the things I've learned over the last couple of years is to keep people at enough of a distance that I can get through to them and help them change, but not make any kind of suggestion or discussion that allows them to enter a private part of my life. So when I talk about my dogs, I keep it pretty superficial. I don't let them know that one of them has cancer and is going to pass away, because that person might interpret that as too much information and they can start getting into there. Then they want to know, then they're calling and texting about that rather than about their goal, rather than about what they need to do to get fit. I don't mind text messages, but when I'm getting 40 or 60 a day from somebody, it's too much. The other thing I've learned is that one of the best parts of the job is that you have this opportunity with every single person that comes in. So when someone comes in, I really do sit down and talk to them about who they are deep down inside, because I want to get to know that person and I want them to see that I care. So my recommendation is, if anyone is in this room is involved in a situation where you're dealing one-on-one with other people, which all of us I assume are, I would definitely recommend maintaining your boundaries. Mr. Toastmaster.